As our coaches file in, please turn off your cell phones. I've been known to embarrass people, not just myself. Reminder too, please, there's no video shot from your phones here in this room. You can pick up the video off the feed across the hall. No flash photography also, and we'll go from there. Once again, we're going to start with statements from each one of the coaches, and then we'll open up for questions. If you have a question, please wait to be recognized, and Emily and Kylie would get a mic to you. When that happens, please give us your name, your affiliation, and to whom you're directing the question. So we'll start off here. First, Dave Van Horn of Arkansas. The Razorbacks were 44-19 this year. Their SID, John Thomas. John, raise your hand. Okay. Razorbacks, the number 5 national seed, won the regional and super regional at Fayetteville, and this is their 9th Omaha appearance. University of Texas head coach David Pierce and Carly Todd, their SID. There's Carly. Longhorns are the number 13 national seed and won the regional and super regional in Austin. This is their 36th College World Series appearance with 6 national championships, the latest in 2005. Kevin O'Sullivan, Florida. The Gators were 47-19 this year. Their SID, Dan Apple. There's Dan in the back. Gators are the number 1 national seed and won the regional and super regionals in Gainesville. This is their 12th College World Series appearance, and of course the defending national champion. And Texas Tech under Tim Tadlock, 44-18. Michael Minshew, their baseball contact. Michael, are you in here? Okay, thank you. Raiders, the number 9 national seed, and won the regional and super regionals at home in Lubbock, and this is their 3rd appearance here in Omaha. We'll start with Dave and an overview of your ball club. Welcome to Omaha.
Well, first off, what an honor to be here. You know, as you get a little older, I think you appreciate it so much more. You maybe even try to enjoy it a little more and take in all that's going on. You know, had the opportunity to, we've played all 3 of these guys this year, awfully talented ball clubs, and so we know how tough our bracket is. As far as our season, it's been a great season for our club. We've stayed healthy. You know, we've had a little sickness and little problems here and there, but we haven't had that major injury that can take out one of your top guys, and I truly believe that's why I'm sitting here now, is because we kept our lineup intact, and our pitching staff for the most part was injury free, and it enabled us to continue to, you know, to be consistent, and that's the thing about playing in the SEC and highest level of Division I baseball. If you're gonna have some downtime, but if you can stay healthy, you got a shot. Offensively, we've had a good year, one of the better balanced lineups I've had, maybe the best I've had at times. And then pitching-wise, stayed with the same rotation pretty much the whole season. Tweaked it a little bit maybe in Game 3. Bullpen's kind of evolved. And, you know, our closer, Matt Cronin, was really good all year. He did get mono, and it probably cost us a game or 2 in the middle of the SEC play because we couldn't finish games off so we didn't have him. But we got him back, and he's been throwing the ball extremely well. So just, again, really, really excited to be here and back in Omaha and have a chance to play against these guys.
David?
Well, again, thanks for some of the thoughts that Dave said. And, you know, it's a privilege to be up here with these 3 great programs. And, you know, you look around, and in 2003, I was with Rice, and we had an opportunity to start the season as the number 1 ranked team in the country. And I just credit Sully here because that's tough to do when you go out and you have to represent a national championship and then maintain that number 1 spot. So that's a tribute to him and his program, his coaching staff, and his players. And then I look at Tim and how quickly he's turned that program around at Texas Tech, and 3rd time in Omaha in, I think, 5 years. And then Dave has just been a staple for winning and doing things the right way. And at multiple schools. And so it's really a privilege for Texas to have an opportunity to compete with these three and of course the other four in the other bracket. So we're very privileged to be here. And then you look at our ball club and some of the things that have happened throughout the course of the year. You know, we started out pretty slow. We went to an SEC school at LSU in week 2, and we didn't look like a very good ball club. And we came out of there and got beat up by a Pac-12 team with Stanford at home, lost 3 out of 4, and then we had to go play Dave and them in a double midweek on a Tuesday, Wednesday following Stanford. So we were searching, trying to figure out who we were, who we are, and we were 9-9 coming out of that. So I really distribute our players the way they just continued to play and didn't make excuses. We had to make some changes defensively. I kind of got guys in the right spot. So defensively, that's kind of been our stamp all year. We've got a young man that's an engineer major that's playing first base for us, and when you look at Jake, he doesn't look like your prototypical first baseman, but what he does is he makes everybody else around him better. And we're very solid on the left side of the infield with 2 sophomores that have played every day for 2 years, in Ryan Reynolds and David Hamilton. And then moving Cody from third base to second and getting Ryan back to third has been very comforting for him and us. And Cody's really became a very solid second baseman and also has had an incredible offensive year. We just got a lot of moving pieces that have made that defense work, and DJ Petrinsky has been a solid rock behind home plate for us. And then you look at our pitching staff, and we didn't start well on the mound with our starting pitching, and those guys have started to come around and pitch like we thought they would at the beginning of the year. But our bullpen is something that's been a work in progress since day one. When you look at a guy like Andy McGuire that's 23 years old that was out of baseball for 2 years, and then Josh Sawyer, who is kind of a matchup guy for us that has also been out of baseball because of injuries for 2 years, and a young man by the name of Parker Joe Robinson. So that trio has solidified our bullpen much more, and they've built some confidence, and the defense has built confidence off of them. And then offensively, we're just finding ways to score. It's not like we've been incredibly an incredible offensive group. We've kind of found some ways to score, but I just think it's been a heck of a run for our kids. When we got to the regional, we played a very good A&M team and a very good Indiana team, and I thought our kids really responded well. And then you never even thought that Tennessee Tech was going to take 2 from Ole Miss in Oxford, and they did a wonderful job of just playing the game, and they're very, very talented. They came to us, and we had to play well to win that Super. So just a tribute to our kids, our coaching staff, and we really feel very comfortable in being in this field, and we're glad we're back in Omaha.
Sully.
Well, I want to congratulate the other coaches and programs that had a chance to get to Omaha again. And obviously, we watched all the super regionals. All 4 of us went to Game 3, so they're very, very challenging, very competitive. So obviously, we're all going to be battle tested up to this point. You know, as far as, you know, try to echo, you know, something Dave said earlier, I think the more times you come out here, the more you appreciate it because you know how difficult it is. 6 of the 8 Supers went to Game 3s. I think it's our 3rd straight year that we had to go to a Game 3 in a Super. So, we know how difficult it is to get to this point, and we're certainly not taking that for granted. As far as our team's concerned, you know, we were very consistent throughout the year. We hit a little stumbling block, you know, towards the end of the year. We got swept at Mississippi State and won 1 game in the SEC tournament and came home. But as far as our team's concerned, really, really proud of our 2 seniors, J.J. Schwartz and Nick Horvath. They've had the opportunity to be to Omaha, you know, now this 4th consecutive year. Our juniors have been 3 years in a row. Our sophomores have been twice. And obviously now our freshmen and transfers had an opportunity to get to Omaha. So it's been kind of a neat thing. I think our team, the strength of our team right now, as it's been for the last few years, is our starting pitching. Brady Singer has been as good a competitor as we've ever had in this program. He's right there with Alex Faedo and Logan Shore and Hudson Randall and a bunch of those other guys. And obviously Jackson Carr has really developed into a heck of a pitcher for us. He ended up going, sandwich pick with Kansas City, and ironically both Brady and Jackson were both taken by Kansas City, so it's kind of neat to see. Our third starter, we've had Tyler Dyson for about half the year, and then we had 2 freshmen named Jack Leftwich and Tommy Mace who have stepped up and have really solidified that role. We got another freshman named Jordan Butler who's had a huge contribution to our bullpen this year. And then obviously at the end we got Michael Byrne back, who's been an All-American closer for 2 years in a row. Offensively, we're hoping to get J.J. Schwartz back this weekend. He took batting practice for the first time on Tuesday and looked fine. Whether he's going to be able to play first or catch, I'm not quite sure yet, and obviously it's still day to day. Jonathan India, our third baseman's had an All-American year, had 20 home runs, and for a good about 2/3 a year hit about 400. And he's a first-round pick with Cincinnati, so he had a heck of a career for us and a heck of a year, obviously. Deacon Lippett's been our starting shortstop since day one this year, and we've got a junior named Blake Reese who's done a terrific job at second base. I guess one of the newcomers that's kind of put a huge lift in our offense is a young man from Tennessee named Will Dalton. Hit 19, 20 home runs and has really solidified the middle of the lineup. And then in left field, we have Austin Langworthy, who's gotten hot here the last 2 to 3 weeks of the year and has really done a nice job at the plate. And then we have another junior that's going to come back his senior year named Nelson Maldonado, who's filled the DH role the entire year. So this is probably one of the years that we have not shuffled the lineup as much as we may have in the past, and it maybe has given us a little bit more consistency at the plate. But like I said, going back to what I originally said, really proud of our 2 seniors, J.J. Schwartz and Nick Horvath. Have the opportunity to get to Omaha 4 years in a row is not easy, and we're excited to be here.
Okay, Tim?
First of all, I'd much rather talk with you guys than to you. I'm not much on opening statements. All these guys got all the respect in the world for all their programs and their universities and the way they go about their business. We went up to Fayetteville this year. We've seen 2 of the 3 in person. We've got our work cut out for us. I think Dave sat his best 2 hitters, he said that day, and they put it on us pretty good. Coach Pierce came in and, he came into Lubbock. He says he's trying to figure out a way to score runs. Last time I checked, they hit a lot of balls over the fence. And then Sully's teams are always, a handful. I mean, you always know you're going to face a guy that probably should be in professional baseball. I was looking back at the 2016, just our report on their pitchers, and Brady Singer was on the second page, and Alex Faedo was front and center. And so he's got some guys down there on the second page that are just waiting to step in there and really do what they do each and every year. As far as our season goes, it's been a lot of fun. We got a fun group. Really excited for each guy on our team and their moms and dads and their families. To go to Omaha from Lubbock, Texas, you need families that understand what you're trying to do, and we're fortunate to have that. And really, it's I don't do good reflecting. Most of you guys in the room know that, but there's some special people with our group, our families. Again, our moms and dads. I'd like to name every one of them, and just thank every one of them. We don't get to see them all the time. As far as this time of year, get kind of busy, and but really, when you sit down and you have those conversations, you got to have people that believe in what you're doing, and we've had that. I'll kind of echo what Sully was saying as far as our lineup goes. Our lineup hadn't changed since we started postseason play. We got a bunch of guys that like to play, and obviously it's going to be a dogfight playing all these guys. Each and every day we're really probably just trying to survive. I mean, that's what we've been trying to do as far as in the regional. Played 3 games in the regional, and then last weekend it was all we wanted on Monday. I mean, I think we saw guys probably got a chance to go in the first round on Sunday, and you're going, holy cow, if they got that on Monday, it's could be a long day. And thank goodness they didn't. And but it was quite an accomplishment for our group. You go back and you look at our super regional games, I think probably not the way you actually want to draw it up, but the guys had the fortitude and the resiliency to get here, and anything can happen once you get here. Glad to be here.
Okay, we'll open up for questions now. Remember, give us your name and your affiliation and to whom you're asking the question. We'll start right here.
Mike Malloy of the Orlando Sentinel, Coach O'Sullivan. Two things. You said JJ was day-to-day. Do you plan on playing him on Sunday? And can you also just talk about what he's meant to your program these last 4 years?
Well, I can't really answer that quite yet. I mean, obviously it was positive that he took batting practice on Tuesday, but, you know, these decisions are not made by me. They're made by JJ's family and the trainer, to be quite honest with you. I'm not involved in those decisions. It's not like I walk up to him each and every day and ask him if he's ready to play. He'll come to me when he's ready. Got my fingers crossed, but obviously it's going to be totally up to him. As far as what he's meant to our program, I think he's second all time in RBIs. Like a lot of our kids, they have an opportunity to sign professionally out of high school. You know, very grateful that he decided to come to school. I think he's made his mark. He's going to be remembered as one of the greatest Gators. You know, put on a uniform for us. Turned out to be, you know, this is my 11th year at Florida. He's our team captain, which we've never done before. So he's kind of started a tradition that way. And his family's been terrific. Kind of a neat story. His sister caught the last out on the softball team when they won the World Series in Oklahoma City, and obviously JJ had the opportunity to do that last year as well. So it's kind of a neat story with their family. So to sum it all up, he means the world to us, and he's had a tremendous career.
Okay, we got Mitch up here. We need to get a mic to him. There he comes. Thanks, Kaylee.
Mitch Sherman, ESPN.com. Specifically for Tim and Dave on the ends, and Kevin, if you want to weigh in for sure. Coach Pierce, I think it's more of an extended thing for you outside of this room, but with this being the first College World Series since the passing of Augie Garrido, I wonder if the two of you on the end, having coached in the same conference as him at one time in your career, could share an enduring memory or something, a moment from your interactions with him that was impactful for you.
Tim, why don't you start, Tim?
Oh, probably the thing comes to mind more than anything is just the conversations you have with Augie before a series or during a series. He was always very much like a grandfather, I think, to all of us. A lot of wisdom there. 2010 during the opening ceremony, they were honoring him. He was getting some type of award and got to share a really neat moment with him in the dugout over there when we were out here in 10. Not with Tech, obviously. And, he's a special man. He's very good to all of us. Did so much for the game of baseball. They mentioned last night they've been doing the opening ceremony since '98, and I was thinking, heck, Augie probably went to 20 of those before they even started doing that. And, he just did so much for all of us. You think about, the last time they went to hire a guy, there's a couple guys sitting up here that, he definitely helped our families as far as that goes, and that doesn't go unnoticed. He's he's a special guy, but I think really probably the neatest thing in that deal is just the one-on-one conversations you had with him, and something that always, to me, we're all at baseball games throughout every summer, and every time you be at one, you're trying to find the next guy. And, at the end of each summer, a lot of us end up in Long Beach. And what reminds me about Augie more than anything is that he was always just right there in the background. And, I think he's still there right there in the background right now, watching all of us. I think he's still one of the biggest college baseball fans. But, when we'd go out there, you'd talk to his assistants, and they go, yeah, hey, he's right down the road. We're going to go eat dinner with him tonight. I feel like he's right down the road right now.
David?
Well, the very first time I had a conversation with him face-to-face was in It was in Lincoln, Nebraska. It was either my first or second year, my first year there, and we still played at Buck Belcher Stadium, and we had worked out, I think, on a Thursday early, and it was kind of cold, and then I kind of stayed around when Texas got there and tried to spy on them a little bit and watch them practice, and he's trying to win. He's trying to win.
I'm not surprised, Dave.
It wasn't illegal. Anyway, so but in the middle of their practice, I decided, go on out and say hi to him, and he was in the left field, and we had a really good conversation, because I'll be honest with you, that first year at Nebraska, some of the coaches in the league, they weren't real friendly to us. Like, we didn't know what we were doing, and it was probably the middle of the season, and he told me that. Well, he talked about the weather a little bit and how he hated it, and went on and on. But, he just said that we were doing a good job, and that he watched us practice a little bit, and he knew we were going to be good by the way we practiced. And I told him I appreciated it. And we became pretty good friends. We talked on the phone off and on, and throughout the time I was in Lincoln. And then, I moved to Arkansas. Obviously, we weren't in the same league anymore. We kept in touch and see him at the conventions and hang out with him a little bit. And he just always had a great story, and people that didn't know him personally, they didn't know what he was all about. He was very friendly, really intelligent, and like Tim said, he was all about college baseball, and the man knew how to motivate a team, and he knew how to win, obviously.
You want to hear from Pierce too?
Probably a longer.
I think. Okay. Right here.
Yeah, Matt Jones, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. For Coach O'Sullivan and Van Horn, the SEC's had the experimental rules this year, the expanded replay, the earpiece. I wonder what you think, what you liked, maybe didn't like about that, and would you like to see any or all of it expanded to the NCAA postseason?
Sully, you start.
I liked it. I mean, obviously the bottom line is just trying to get the call right. A couple things probably need to be tweaked. It does slow the game down. We probably need to have somebody maybe other than the umpires making the final decision on the call, and having maybe a central command center. As far as the earpiece is concerned, we didn't use it this year. We'll probably use it next year. I think the biggest thing with the earpiece for us not using it this year is obviously having JJ behind the plate. He was older, but obviously in postseason you can't use it, so have to be creative that way. The only other thing I see about the earpiece thing is it does slow the game down, because you can tell your catcher to go out and talk to the pitcher as things kind of get maybe looking like they're going to get out of control, or the inning's going to get away from you a little bit. So you can have multiple pitching coach visits to the mound and basically just tell your catcher what to tell the pitcher. So I think that part probably needs to be tweaked a little bit.
Dave.
Start with the earpiece. We used it. We have a catcher that we let him call a lot of his pitches. We made some hopefully educated suggestions to him. The pitcher, always had the right to shake us off, but we let Grant call him for the most part. But I stand next to Coach Johnson, our pitching coach, and I would listen to their conversations and chime in a little bit here and there. I know that Coach Johnson really likes the earpiece, just to be able to communicate, and not even to the point of you're saying fastball, slider, change up, or location, just to be able to communicate a little bit with the catcher. And like Sully said, you don't want the catcher running out there. Maybe there would have to be a rule where catcher can only visit so much. But we definitely liked it. As far as the expanded reviews, I'm a big fan of it. I think it saved a lot of controversy. I think in our league the problems to me usually have been plays at first base. Those are the ones that were overturned, and they changed some innings. So I would like to see that worked on over the next couple of years.
We have Kirk up here. Thank you, Emily.
Kirk Bowles from the Austin American-Statesman. For Coach Van Horn, how would you describe the rivalry Arkansas has with Texas? And even though you aren't in the same conference over 20 years, is Texas still the #1 rival for Arkansas?
I would say maybe for adults over 50, they might be. Our players, they want to beat LSU and Florida and Mississippi, and could go on and on. But I think a lot of our fan base, they still, they still see it that way. And, like I said, we played the University of Texas on a Tuesday and Wednesday. That's early in the season. The weather was okay. We had really nice crowds, big crowds. And if we played them on a weekend, we would have SEC crowds because that's the way a lot of the fans feel about it. And when I say SEC crowd, anywhere from 9,000 to 12,000 a game. Probably doesn't matter what the weather's like. So that's the way I see it. I don't see them as our rival, obviously, but it's just a storied program, and they beat up on a lot of people back in the Southwest Conference days, and so a lot of people liked beating Texas back then.
Okay, next question right here. JJ.
Cooper, Baseball America. David, I just want to ask you about David Hamilton and what he's meant for your program to have kind of his steadiness at shortstop.
Yeah, well, he's a local kid from San Marcos, and when he came in as a freshman, and we didn't have much depth. When you look around, we had a couple older guys that we considered playing shortstop, and at that point, I just felt like if we're still questionable, why not go with the younger player and allow him to grow into the position last year? And so he played 62 of our 63 games every day there, and he's just pretty electric. And the thing that's impressive about David that you see on the highlight reel is the range and the ability not to panic when he gets to a ball. But the thing I'm most impressed with him is that how well he's handled the routine play. And he's done a very good job of just being consistent day in and day out. All hitters get frustrated about their offense, and it's pretty nice to see a defender understand and handle his offense, but really his frustrations come from when he doesn't play great defense. So he's just been a rock for us. And then this year he's just grown more and more into the position. So, anytime you have a shortstop that plays every single day for you for the past 120-plus games, that gives you some security.
Way in the back here. Oh, Kirk, I'm sorry.
Dirk Chatwin, Omaha World Herald.
Dirk.
I'd like to get as much input as possible on this one, but this is the iPhone generation. Kids are bouncing around doing all sorts of different things. I'm curious if players' attention spans are shorter than they used to be, and if so, as coaches, what do you do about it?
Tim, we'll start with you. Come across.
Not touching that one. Not touching that. I mean, you do what you got to do as far as all that goes. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not a technology guy down here, so I'll let them answer it.
Sully.
Thanks, Tim. I just think, like anything in life, you have to evolve and you have to change. I think the ability to motivate and reach kids, because they're all different. I think that's our responsibility. That if we're going to try to do things the same way and try to cookie cut how we're going to treat each kid or how we're going to try to reach each kid, then obviously we're not going to be doing as successful as we want to be. So I think every generation changes. The stories back in the day where I walked to school 5 miles with no shoes on. I think that goes on from generation to generation. I just think with the technology that's out there now, you don't want to be a dinosaur. You got to be able to adapt. Simple as that. From a coaching aspect.
David.
I don't think it's just the teenagers. I mean, my wife's attention span has gotten shorter, and I think that's a society thing. Fortunately, I don't hang out with our players, so I don't know if they're on the cell phone or not. But in our clubhouse and when we're in meetings and when we travel, we don't allow players to use their telephones when we're having team meals. It's our time. But it's just the way it is. And like Sully's saying, we've just got to evolve with what's happening in communication. I will say, back in the day when we would have tarp duty and you would have to call the entire team, that was a pain. Now you got one message, one button, and everybody understands that we don't have tarps, but the communication has really expedited because of it. But we haven't had any issues. Honestly, I don't think we've had any issues.
Dave.
Well, like they all basically said, you have to adapt, and that is called group me. We call that group me. Yeah, so we
Four group meetings.
so no, I think kids' attention spans. You know, you asked that question. I think it's all the same, and I think kids are the same. They're, you know, you're like Sully said, you just have to adapt and with the times. We have to adjust our personalities a little bit for some kids. I can tell you some kids that are in my lineup and the way they act when they make an out and they're talking to themselves, and some that don't say anything when they walk by me, and it drives me crazy, and I just have to be quiet because I need that guy to get out on base next time he's up. And you just have to work with these guys and realize what gets them going a little bit. But no, technology's great, and everybody has their team rules, whether it's check your phone at the door, or if you let them between pregame and the other team taking batting practice, go up in the locker room and get on their phone. Some teams don't, some teams do. Probably just depends on how it's going, how your team's playing, but no, it's all good.
Okay, we have Matt over here. Thanks, Emily.
Matt Jones, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. For Coach O'Sullivan, you faced Blaine Knight twice this season. I wonder what your thoughts are on him. And then for Coach Pierce, as you prepare to likely see him for the first time, what are your thoughts?
He's pretty good. I had the wrong scouting report when we played him the first time at our place. And I remember he might have been up to maybe close to 8 punch-outs after the fourth inning. And I remember J.J. Schwartz, I think he dumped a 3-2 breaking ball in there for a called strike. And obviously that's not what we told our players before the game. J.J. had some choice words about the scouting report. So we had to flip the switch. Obviously, he pitched great. You know, I can't remember all the guys he beat on Friday nights in our league, but he was phenomenal. I mean, he beat Brady Singer, our number one. He beat a bunch of guys on Friday night this year, and obviously we had an opportunity to see him in the SEC tournament, and, you know, we didn't have much more luck there either against him. I mean, he's very competitive. He throws to both sides of the plate. He's got 2 different breaking balls. He holds runners. His stuff holds up for the whole game. He's a true Friday night guy, and I'm glad he's leaving after this year, to be honest with you.
Okay, we have right here.
I need to answer. Just quickly, I'll say, you know, of course, we haven't faced him yet, but anybody that's 12-0 in the SEC and non-conference play, the schedule that they've played, that tells you a lot about him. But the thing is, when you face a guy like Blaine, you're looking at a guy that not only has stuff but has plus command with 4 pitches, and so it's hard to eliminate a pitch and sit on something or look on one side of the plate because he can do so much. So he's a tough challenge, and he really handles himself well, even in some adverse situations where it seems like nothing really bothers him. So he'll be a tough challenge, I would think, that they throw him. But yeah, he's good.
Okay. Now right here.
Danny Davis, the Austin American Statesman. Dave, how much has your Arkansas team changed, improved since you guys saw Texas in March?
Well, I think we've changed a lot as far as probably the confidence of our team, and you know, the coaches. We know what we're going to get pretty much every day. The lineup hasn't changed a lot. Maybe the batting order, we flipped our. You know, we lead off Eric Cole. He's hit 2-hole, 3-hole for us, and we did that. Gosh, I did that maybe 25 games ago, and it just seemed like it got better. You know, I've had 3 different leadoff guys, and we finally went back with Eric. You know, as far as the middle of the lineup, it's pretty much the same. We've had some guys that have, you know, they're playing better down the stretch than they did maybe 20 games ago, which has been big for us. Probably the biggest change is that we figured out our bullpen a little bit, and who could come in and do what in certain situations, and then do it again the next time and the next time, because it was a little bit iffy early. You know, other than that, I don't think there's been a lot of changes. You know, just the fact that they know each other better and we know what to expect, and I think we've been able to make moves a little better and maybe match up a little better than we could early in the season. We learned our players a little bit.
Okay, Howard in the back here.
Howard Borden, KOTK Omaha. Congratulations to all the coaches. Welcome back to Omaha. This will be a question for all of you. Sometimes the park can play big in the outfield. Could you talk about your outfielders? Can they, how they chase down balls, their arms to the cutoffs, and lots of times there's big plays at bags. So, what are your thoughts on your fielders in the outfield?
Dave, why don't you start?
Well, my center fielder defensively is, and I've had some good center fielders. He's as good as we've ever had, and he's not as fast as some of them, but his jumps and reads are incredible. Dominic Fletcher's his name, and then Eric Cole plays right field. He was a center fielder in high school. Had some issues with his ankles and feet. He's fouled balls off of both of them. He's a switch hitter. He's got bone bruises and all kinds of issues. Knocked down his speed a little bit, but he gets good jumps on the ball. Left fielder's a freshman, Heston Kerstad. He's really done a good job defensively. He struggled a little bit the last couple of weeks. He lost a ball in the high sky. He overran a ball that was slicing back by him, and kind of a in between daylight and dark. A little tough to see, but gets pretty good jumps on the ball. So I would say we've got a little better than average outfield and probably combined a little better than average speed. So I feel good about our outfield play.
David?
I think we run well. Our center fielder, Tate Shaw, is probably a left fielder, but we play him in center field, similar to Fletcher with Arkansas, because he's not our fastest outfielder of the three. He's our best guy that takes control of the outfielders and really works well with the middle guys. But Tate has a kind of a football mentality, and he likes that leadership role, so I like him in the middle. Duke Ellis is a center fielder playing right field, and Duke can really go get him. He looks like a center fielder, and he may end up going back there next year, but really athletic. And then Mason Hibler is a middle infielder that played shortstop coming in, played second early in the year, but is just really converted to that position really well. He's an infielder playing left field, and he can really run, but he also adds another dimension with his arm because he throws well from there.
Sully.
We'll start in the center. Nick Horvath. He's about as good as we've had, and we've had some good ones. He's not as fast as Buddy Reed, but his jumps are phenomenal. He's not as fast as Matt Dendecker we had back in 2010, 11, in that range. But very accurate arm. He made that one play last year against LSU going right center field and threw a strike to second. Kind of slowed their offense down, I think, in the 8th inning there. But tremendous jumps and very accurate arm. Left field, Austin Langworthy, just steady Eddie, just kind of makes his plays and doesn't make very many mistakes. He's a really good baseball player, knows how to run the bases, always gives you good at-bats, doesn't miss cutoff. He's a really good player. And then Will Dalton's probably a center fielder playing right, probably about a 6'6" runner, really interesting athlete. Kind of reminds me of Harrison Bader, if you remember him. Just a, rangy, wiry, strong kid that can really run and got an accurate arm as well. He got a chance to play center field for us next year after Nick leaves.
Tim.
Well, let's see. Cody Farhat plays center field. He's out of Plano, Texas. High school football player, baseball player. I think he's drafted late by Cleveland. He's a junior. He has the ability to play a shallow center field, which should help here. He can really go get the ball in the gaps, very instinctive. Probably been on a few highlight plays, probably more so last year than this year. Won a couple series. We felt like last year, like literally taking home runs away. Probably wouldn't have had that ability, by the way, without lowering our outfield fence and putting a pad on it. So that's kind of cool. We wanted to create that in our ballpark. We didn't want people to be able to leave their seat, and he created some excitement there in our own ballpark. Very tough kid, hits down at the bottom of the order. Has been in and out of the lineup. Last year he was out of the lineup for the first probably 15, 20 games, kind of in and out, and we bring him in late and you give him 2 innings, he'd take a hit away. And we're like, what are we doing? Let's stick him out there in center. And we had a kid that Tanner Gardner was playing center field, and we actually told Cody the day we gave him a start, we said, just Wally Pip him. Everybody knows you're better than him. And sure enough, he did. As far as a defender, I'm not talking about, I mean, Tanner can really hit, and Cody can throw. I'd say he's probably got a 55, 60 arm on an 80 scale. You know, on both our corners, we've got former high school shortstops. Grant Little plays left. He's a kid out of Midland Christian High School. Great family. When we committed him as a sophomore, he reminded a couple of us on our staff as Derek Jeter. I mean, he's got that kind of body. He's got that kind of swing. He's got that kind of hand-eye coordination. Just happened to be a deal going into his freshman year. He had a deal happen where he wasn't getting blood to a bone on his throwing arm, and so we stuck him in left field. He's probably a guy when he goes out, probably goes out and either plays second base, shortstop, or center field, I would think. This guy's got a chance to hit, you know. He hits fourth for us. He's probably a leadoff two-hole type hitter moving forward as far as in pro baseball. He's got a 60 arm. I mean, it's a good arm. He's very it's handy having a shortstop playing out there because they know about cutoff men and where to throw the ball. And so he's really the total package out there. He's not very many college baseball teams are going to have that type of baseball player playing left field. And I mean, we played him at shortstop on Friday night against David. So, and really thought we had a chance to get better when we did it. We tried it. Tried Michael Davis at second base. Michael's our shortstop now, and really just trying to figure out what was our best lineup at the time, best defense, and it only lasted a day. And so I think we got beat on Friday. That kind of brings you back. You're like, hey, well, let's get Michael back out there and at short. And Michael can really throw, and likes to throw. But Grant really likes to play baseball. Cody's the same way. I think they call that area out there the no-fly zone. That might come back to get me. But, you know, and then our right fielder's out of Bonaire, Georgia. He's our leadoff hitter. He's been there every day since day one. He's a freshman, draft-eligible sophomore, impact runner. Can tell you he's going and go. Can tell you he's bunting and can bunt. He played second base for 48 games. And somewhere in there we stuck him in right field and said, hey, go play right field, and really didn't know what we were getting. And he's made some plays that, with his speed, that we wouldn't have made otherwise. He's a legitimate 70 runner, and he's an impact player. I mean, there's not many freshmen that have come in and just say, hey, I'll hit leadoff and get on base 50% of the time. I'll steal you a base when you need to. He will try to do too much out there. Believe me, he's still got a little infielder in him. You know, where the guy goes maybe in the hole and throws it and he shouldn't. He'll do that from time to time. So if you get word to him between now and Sunday to hit the cutoff man, that'd be great. He's a great kid. I mean, he's a guy, I'm telling you, that he can make an offense go. He could make any offense go. He's a lot of fun to watch hit. I know he hit some balls last week against Duke where they're going, how'd he do that? I mean, he's got hand-eye coordination that I'm not sure I've seen since maybe a kid named Jose Padron back in 1994. Most of you guys are 92 and y'all didn't see him play. So he's a junior college guy. Got about 119 hits in 1 year and still hangs around baseball. And just not many guys like Gabe Holt as far as offensively. Now, you start grading the arm and the defense, he's a special player. And so in the last game we played, I think he missed a couple balls, by the way. And here's the deal. He let one go over him. He drifted. And the next play, he's going to make it. It's a line drive hit right at him. And we all know that's the toughest one. He's going to go in and dive and catch it Well, the ballpark was playing hot that day. The ball one-hopped the wall while he's sprinting in towards the home plate. And everybody's going, hey, what are we doing here? And so, but one thing you know about Gabe is if that happens, he's a baseball player. He's gonna go to the plate, and he's gonna do everything he can to go, look, guys, I got this. And sure enough, he did. I mean, drove in a big run later on.
Okay, Mike.
Kevin, is Brady Singer going to start for you on Sunday? And then I guess if the answer to that question is yes, then Tim, can you talk about going up against him?
Sully.
Yeah, he's starting. Yeah, he'll start.
Tim.
Like I said, in 16, he was on the back page. I have no idea. I mean, we're running out Davis Martin and Stephen Gingrey, and those are our same guys pretty much, other than Gingrey. And, I mean, I've got a chance to see Brady throw a few times. I mean, every time you get a chance to see a guy with that kind of tools and that kind of skill that's kind of honed his craft, you want to watch him. And so anytime we've been able to catch him on, a Friday night or when they play on Thursday or whatever the case might be, you try to tune in. Coach O'Sullivan, I mean, he's said, the kid's a great competitor. But I think the neatest thing is he's a guy that's, again, he's gone from the tools he had walking in there to now Kevin's basically taking him and he's honed his craft and the skills there. And there's a lot of guys sitting in the minor leagues. I mean, it's really a great testament for college baseball. There's a lot of guys with tools that don't have the skill. And this guy's been with him for 3 years, and now he's got the skill. And he might have walked in there with the skill, but he didn't pitch against us, okay? But it looks like to me that Kevin and his staff done a great job of taking that young man and really developing him. And as far as our team goes, it's going to be a handful. You know he's going to attack the strike zone with the fastball, and you know he's got that breaking ball, and you know he's going to hold runners. And the one thing I did see the other day is he did miss a bunt, and maybe we should bunt every time. Man. Just bunt it right back to him. Our guys would look at me like I was crazy. If I said, hey, guys, just bunt it right back to the mound, he missed one the other day, they'd go, Coach, we don't bunt much. And so, but I really have a lot of respect for Sully and what he's done with that young man and all those guys that have walked in there. I mean, you start talking about guys that go, kids think they're drafted high when they go in the first, between the 5th and the 10th. And, you take a guy that, I don't know where Brady went out of high school. He's probably a first rounder with me saying that, first or second rounder. But you start talking about guys that go from the 5th on, hey, go to college, develop the skill, and look what happens. I mean, he was, the 18th pick in the whole deal? That's a great testament to what a bunch of college baseball coaches are doing. And we look forward to the challenge. I mean, anytime you get to face a guy like that, you better just step in there and dig in and get after it. So,
JJ, and then here.
JJ Cooper, Baseball America. Tim, if you could talk a little bit Josh Young and just what he's meant for you in the middle of that lineup, not only that, but also defensively at third base.
Well, without Jeff and Mary, none of that happens, first of all. I mean, he's got two parents that are outstanding people. Dad's a high school baseball coach in San Antonio. They believed in our staff, believed we could, do what we're doing. And as far as what Josh has done for us, very similar to what Eric Gutierrez did in 2013. He walked in and said, hey, I'll be in the cage. Anybody want to hit? And after week 1 of summer school, guys are going, hey, did you go hit with that guy? And they're going, yeah, you can go tomorrow. He's going to be in there a while. And just an outstanding worker, outstanding young man. He's got a great passion for developing his skill. He understands he has tools. He's got strength. But you're talking about a young man that's gone from having some tools to he's developed some skill. He can separate balls and strikes. He's got some power. He could play third base, could probably play on a lot of college baseball teams. He's probably a shortstop, and we've been fortunate enough to have him over there. But probably the biggest thing is the makeup. He's a guy that each and every day, off day, NCAA telling you got to have an off day, or coaches telling you, hey, you guys take a day, he's going to hit. And so, that's going to carry over for him, and it's obviously going to carry over to some of his teammates. And they found out literally within the first week there was 3 different people went to hit with him. They're like, I can't do that long. He's going to hit too long. So, again, we're fortunate and thankful that the family believed in our staff and our university.
Okay, right up here first. Get back with you. Running out of time, folks.
Joe Cook with Inside Texas. David, how do you think you've developed since your last trip here as a coach in 2008, and then how do you think that helped you get here in 2018?
Well, I was very fortunate. My first year at Rice was 2003, and we won the national championship. So when I walked in, I was absorbing a team and a program that got eliminated in 2002, and they knew how to win in 2003. We were in that predicament of the number 1 team in the country the entire year and trying to defend that. So that was really neat. But I think for me, as personally, to be able to recruit and get another batch of players that came in 6, 7, and 8 and really performed well here was a lot of our development of postseason baseball, not only in Omaha, but just understanding what it takes to win. So I've been able to at least give some information and some stories to our team that have, you think of the University of Texas and you think that we're returning so many players that have been in Omaha, but Texas hasn't been here since 14, and we only have myself and Josh Sawyer are the only 2 on the team that have been here. So to be able to relate that to our team and to just allow them to see how special it is and understand their accomplishments. It doesn't matter if you're the number 1 team in the country or if you're the 13th national seed. To get here is really special. And I think at this point you've got 8 teams that feel like they have an opportunity. Well, we all have an opportunity, but 8 teams feel like they have a chance if they play well to continue and to advance. And for us, that's something that we have to flip the page, coming out of a very emotional super, and to not just be satisfied to participate, but to give it everything we have. And the stage is different, though. It's definitely different. Playing in a very intense super regional, 7,500 people at home, but they're at home, and most of those are rooting for you. So it's just going to be great to watch our team go out there and have this opportunity under this just humongous stage and competing against these great teams.
This will be our last question of this session.
Mike LaPresti, NCAA.com, for anyone who wants to address this. College basketball has really struggled on what to do about the draft. One and done, not one and done, some other way. Could it learn something from baseball, or are the 2 situations so different there's not really any correlation to be found?
Dave, why don't you start?
He said if you wanted to chime in on that. I don't know if I want to chime in on that. I mean, there's a fine line there, because you're talking about telling a young man coming out of high school, example, we can't pay you. I'd like to see kids at a minimum go to school for 2 years. College baseball, obviously, we usually get to keep them for 3. I've had some really good players. We've only kept 2 that were draft eligible, and they both signed for multi-million dollars. And so I had someone from the Boston Globe call me after Andrew Benintendi signed and asked me, well, Coach, how hard did you try to talk him out of not signing? I started laughing. And he said, "What are you laughing about?" I said, "Are you kidding me? I wanted him to sign. I didn't need to deal with that pressure of him coming back, turning down X amount of money." And my point being, it was a no-brainer. But yeah, I don't know what college basketball could learn from us. It's a lot different. I think there's only a few maybe compared to we have a lot of kids that we're dealing with. You go through all these programs that kids are turning down $500,000, $800,000, which is a lot of money to a lot of people. So I would call that a no comment, I guess.
I just think it's unfortunate that they don't get the college experience for more than a year. And most of the time, they don't want to leave, but because of the predicament and the money that's offered to them, they have no choice. And so for us, we deal with that a little bit on the front end. Jamison Talion, back in however many years ago, was coming to Rice. He was the number 2 pick of the draft, and he had no choice but to sign just because of the money. But at least there's still options. And the development that's taking place in college baseball and how quickly guys are going through the system now is really benefiting us. But I think it's very unfortunate that college basketball freshmen don't have the opportunity to continue because of the system, and because of that, they don't get the full experience of college.
Sully?
I don't know. These are all personal opinions, but coming out of high school, you have a decision to make. You want to sign professionally, you want to go to college. I think everybody should be, required to go, 3 years unless they're draft eligible after their sophomore year to stay on academic track. I mean, to go to college for a year and to use that as leverage to go play professionally, I don't think that's what the student-athlete experience should be. That's just my personal opinion. I think if you make the decision, with your family that you're going to go to college, well, we should probably get, 3 of the 4 years knocked out academically, as opposed to using it, as leverage to move on to the next level. That's just my opinion.
Tim?
I would agree with that statement. I think it's a 3-year deal when you start talking about baseball. We've got 4 draft-eligible sophomores on our team now. I think it could benefit all 4 of them to be in school another year. I think the experience you get in college baseball is a lot better in that backfield on a rookie ball field. And you start comparing it to the NBA, though, it's 2 different animals. You think of Zaire Smith at Texas Tech this year, Mo Bamba, is that his name?
You got it.
In Austin. Those are 2 guys that were in our league. In basketball, I'd have a tough time telling those 2 young men don't go play in the NBA. Dave and I both, we sat in junior college a long time and encouraged guys to sign professionally if the money was right, because it could make a difference in their life. Wouldn't you agree with that? But we also encouraged them to go play at a 4-year school after 1 year because it was what was best for them. So in each case, each individual, basketball or baseball, you got to look that young man in the eye and their family and do what's best for them, not what's best for you. And that's where you get in a tough bind when you start saying, hey, here's the answer, because it could be different for each family. And so, Zaire Smith, nobody knew who that kid was coming out of Garland, Texas, and he went from being the draft. They hadn't had the NBA draft, have they? It's like in a couple weeks, on the 20th or something. I just saw Coach Beard a couple days ago, and he said it was like the 20th. But that guy's, it's going to make a big difference in his life. The unfortunate part is the degree they get. That's the degree you get makes a big difference in your life over a lifetime. It was a dozen years ago, it'd make $2.5 million difference in your lifetime. That's a dozen years ago, so I'd hate to see what it is now. That's a baseball player. And so you start talking about it again, I think you got to look at each individual and say, what's best for this family, what's best for this young man. Some guys aren't going to finish their degree. Truth is. And so what does that guy need to do? Well, put some money in the bank and go play in the NBA. But some baseball players are going to finish their degree. They're going to need their degree. And they're going to need that degree to separate themselves later on down the road. So I have a hard time answering it, blanket answer. But if you put Mo Bamba in front of me, I'd say go take the money. And if you put a college sophomore in front of me that's drafted in the, not in the first round, that has a potential to be a first rounder, hey, you probably ought to stay in school because we can do the same thing for you they can do.
Okay, men, thank you. We'll see you Sunday. Good luck. Appreciate it.